I will share my screen. I just have a few slides, and I'll just be talking through them. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to just maybe put them on the chat, or even ask for any clarifications as we move along. Chebu, can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much.
I'm able to see it, yeah.
Okay. For those of us who maybe may not know me very well, my name is Dan Orwa, a serving elder in Nairobi South Church, even though currently I may not be around, but I'm still an elder within the Nairobi South Church. I also wear another hat. Professionally, I work at the University of Nairobi School of Computing and Informatics. That's Chiromo. I think somebody's having their TV on or something. Where I've been a lecturer for a number of years. Currently, though, I'm on leave of absence. I will be able to talk about that later on. Dave, I don't know what's going on with your, it looks like you're writing something on my screen. All right. So our topic today, or rather our talk today, is something to do with the careers. And I want to share some of the experiences that I've picked up over the years, some also that I've been able to get from interactions with friends, some which I've been able to pick up from the different assignments that I've been lucky enough to participate in. And I hope that it will be useful to you, even as you navigate this changing and important world of careers. I've left this slide, the first slide, intentionally blank, because for each one of us who have joined today, I'd like you to think about really want you to think about what are you, let me just put this on slideshow. I really want you to think about what you want to, what do you really want to gain out of any engagement to do with the career talk. What is your intention when you think about careers? And leads me to a very important but key issue, that today our changing environment brings a lot of challenges and opportunities, depending on how you want to look at them. What I mean by our changing environment is that the world has become more of a global village. How do we position ourselves to take advantage of those positions or opportunities that come up, or some of those challenges that come up? And they're increasingly becoming competitive because each one of us are positioning themselves to be able to take advantage of those. How are you as an individual getting ready or preparing yourself or changing yourself to fit into that environment? When I joined the university, there are a lot of courses which were very popular. Some are still very popular. And there's nothing wrong with those courses. However, even as you think about the engineering courses, the medicine courses, and what have you, architects and all that, how can you look at the other different courses which are offered, which were not necessarily very popular, but which are becoming a cornerstone of what we can refer to as development or a trend within the new world? Are we still stuck in those areas where we were thinking that certain courses were for those who are very good, if you like, for lack of a good word, in high school, and they are not cut for us? Or are you thinking that the courses that you do are also as equally important? And my thinking is, from the time I've spent at the university, it doesn't matter what course you do. It matters what you do with the course that you do. And I'll explain later on why that is very important. Also, how can you make the best choice out of what you perceive as your choice career? Do you want to go into employment, or do you want to be self-employed? Again, those are very key issues that we probably want to think about today. The starting point is something called a vision. The key starting point is something called a vision. What is your vision? What is your long-term desire? Where do you want to be? And that is a question that we need to keep asking, not only for the time you're starting off, but continuously. Are you still faithful to that vision? A story is told of a young man from the US who went, after studying in Harvard, armed with all the relevant information, state-of-the-art knowledge, and went to a beach in South America. And we were just sitting there, and we saw somebody lying under a tree, just basking on the beach under a tree and relaxing and enjoying the sun. At first he ignored, but then sometime his youthfulness and his anxiety made him to ask, why are you lying there being lazy? Why can't you do something? Then the gentleman asked him, what do you want me to do? Fishing. Then he asked him, then what? Then when you try fishing, and because there's a lot of water around here, you can fish, and then you can form a cooperative. And then what? When you form a cooperative, you can negotiate for better prices. And then what? And then you can dictate those better prices and have more and more money. And then what? And then you become an executive of maybe the organization that you have formed, which is championing for better prices. And then what? And then you can sleep under a tree. And the old man said, I'm already doing that. So what is your vision? For some, like the young man, it was very different. He was seeing a path which took him from starting on something small and making it something big. But for the old man, maybe whatever he was having was already good enough. The point is, your vision is not somebody else's vision. You have to create your own vision. You have to work hard for it. But you also, in today's world, you have to work smart. Working smart means taking advantage of all the opportunities that are available for you. And I'm going to share some of those issues which can lead you to thinking about working smart. You have to create your own path. In fact, you have to create your own luck. Yes, let me repeat that. You create your own luck. Don't wait to be lucky, create your own luck. Be purposeful towards that vision, and be systematic. Move in a way that makes you closer to that vision that you are talking about. In our today's world, you also have to be creative, be innovative. The online world has opened for us a lot of opportunities that makes it imperative that we take advantage of all those opportunities that are there. So the innovativeness, whether it is through the social media, how can you use it to work for you? Be strategic. In your purposefulness and systematicness, you must also be strategic. Strategic means looking for opportunities which can advance you towards that vision that you're talking about. However, one thing which kills a lot of that kind of vision is being overambitious. You're in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry. When you are in any environment, don't be in a hurry. Patience is very key, but patience with a purpose. Patience with a strategic vision that can move you. You can see on the other side of the screen, I don't know if they can be able to see those two pyramids. It's talking about, the lower one is talking about the age, the different ages and how people move through those and what you're supposed to do. There are 20 years and all that you're talking about. In their 20s, you're talking about entry level and basic skills, maybe some little experience, which you grow into stability in your career in your 30s and so on. Again, this is just an example of what sometimes may appear to be a structured way, but life is not necessarily very structured. And sometimes that growth is not going, or that pyramid does not represent the reality. The top one shows you where you probably think of, where do I start from? Because you may start from the back office or some of what you're calling contingent employees, and then you move up to what is a functional specialist, and then you move to the area where you are in the first line of management, or a senior specialist, middle management, senior management, or in the category we call consultants. Again, I'm going to explain why those are very key, and then you go to top management. Again, that's what I'm talking about. What is your strategy? What is your vision? Where do you want to be in those kind of pyramids? The age is not important. The most important thing is the top one. It talks about the kind of strategic vision that you may have that you want. However, reality can sometimes be you may want to be very strategic and very structured in certain areas, but you seem to be getting stuck. And getting stuck means that you don't seem to have any hope of even moving. And that's why in that other part I'm talking about, don't get stuck where you seem to have some dead ends. You cannot and should not be defined by the course that you do or the subject that you have studied in university or a college, because opportunities sometimes come in different ways. Again, I'll explain that towards the end, what I mean by all this. I'll not focus on the plan for retirement. However, even as you're building your career, remember at some point in time, you'll not be able to work. You'll not be able to even do some of the things that you're able to do, because as we age, or as you age, your ability becomes less and less. And therefore, you need to plan for your money to work for you when you're not able to do that work yourself, the financial security and so on. I know Elder Nyakundi has talked about this, and I'm not going to belabor that point. So one more time, the key thing from this slide is just the vision. Set your vision and let you work towards that particular vision by working smart, by being purposeful, by being creative and innovative, by being strategic, by not being overly ambitious, because ambition kills a lot of initiatives that you can think about. So how do you create your own luck? One of the ways you do that is to get an education which can accelerate the achievement of the vision. Now, I know that not all the time, or not all of us can be able to be where we want to be in education at one given moment in time. However, my second point is, can you go as far as your money can take you? And what I mean by that is, you may not be able to be where you want to be in education at the beginning, but when you have some money aside, you can continue investing in your education so that it can create for you more opportunities. Let me repeat that. It can create for you more opportunities. Education creates certain opportunities that you may not be able to have otherwise. I'm not saying you should not, that everybody should be educated. No, I'm just saying that it creates an opportunity or a set of opportunities that can help in accelerating the achievement of your vision, because it opens you to a lot of possibilities. Secondly, with the changing world that you have seen over the last 2 years, you can now see it is becoming more and more important to work remotely. For the better half of last year, I worked remotely, taking all my classes remotely. And that kind of skill you need to have. What I mean by that, you need to be familiar with online learning tools. You need to be familiar with the internet. You need to be familiar with all collaboration tools, like the Zooms you're talking about, like sharing documents or sharing work, and making sure that you invest in a good network from home, invest in a good laptop, and so on. But also you need to add some professional courses. When you have chosen what your career path is after your education, remember, education and career are not the same. You may actually have a particular education opportunity, but then your career takes you in a different path. But that is the path which goes towards your vision. Then you need to add some professional courses. These are very important when you now approach or you go for an interview, because it will help you orient your vision and be in sync with what is not only trending, but what is required by a lot of clients. Clients dictate certain things that we need to move towards. And so if you know your clientele well, you can be able to look at those courses which can allow you to get in sync, especially with those who will be offering you those kind of opportunities. Be nice to people. Now, this one cannot be taught anywhere. Be nice to people. Your religious teachings are very key. They're invaluable. Be nice to people. Your attitude also matters a lot. Your attitude towards work, your attitude towards other people is very important, because in a work environment, not only are those you're working with observing how you do your activities, but it's also how you carry yourself and how your attitude is towards work and attitude towards other people. And that's why I said, do not be overly ambitious. Don't look down upon other people. They're either going, wherever you work, they're going to be lesser people and greater people than you. The lesser people do not deserve any less respect than the people above you. Everybody deserves their own respect. And why is that key? Because you never know who is going to do an evaluation of your work. And when your work is being evaluated for the purposes of promotions or purposes of career growth, some of the attitudes that you bring to work may come to bear, and it will not be very useful towards your career growth. So this is what I'd call investing in yourself, creating your own lab, making sure that you get education as far as your money can take you. And remember, you're never too old to learn. And today, online working has become very, very important. Please try and invest in some of the skills, even as you add professional courses. Now, allow me to talk about this before I move into how you can prepare yourself. At the university, I've been able to work with a lot of students who have moved into different areas. And some of those areas which have become big, and big in the sense that they attract a lot of different and varied interdisciplinary jobs, include health, finance, data analytics, because people want to know about what is happening with the data, big data analytics. It is no surprise social media is trending, because behind the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the Googles of this world is a lot of data, and they use that to be able to sell that data so that they can be able to look at opportunities for other big companies. That's why big companies are investing behind the scenes on some of the social media platforms. Simulation and modeling, things like design, and design here is a whole spectrum of design. So no job is ever too small. It can be art, it can be your design, for example, when you're doing design buildings, or design even for fashion designs and all that. R&D, I'll talk about that later on. Agriculture, development, design and development, engineering. Again, a very, very common area right now is ICT4D. ICT4D is the use of ICT for development purposes. It could be in health, it could be in education, it could be in agriculture. It could be a whole varied ways in which ICTs can be used. It's a very popular field because there's a lot of opportunities that can be opened up there to use of ICT tools to spur growth. Multimedia, journalism, project assistants, analysts. You can also work in administration, research, agricultural economists, biostatisticians, actuarial science, anthropology. I'll explain later on why I've listed some of these areas, because these are not just, I didn't just pick them. I picked them with careful consideration on what I see as key. John Musili, somebody's raised a hand. I don't know whether there's a question. Go ahead, sir. John? Somebody raised a hand. I don't know whether.
Maybe it was by mistake. Maybe you can just proceed, and then we can give them time to ask question at the end.
Yes. So the reason why I'm bringing this is because I'll explain later on why but I'm saying these are things I'm seeing from where I sit. They're becoming very key. Cybersecurity, data science, geomapping, art, music, remote sensing, etc. These are very, very key. Why? Because there are some of the things which are now creating a buzz around the developing world towards the low and middle income countries. Ladies and gentlemen, that there's a keyword I've used there which you need to take care of, we take note of: low and middle income countries. A lot of work is moving towards low and middle income countries. And Kenya is a unique case in the sense that being in Africa, there are a lot of issues which affect our population, which have become a subject of not only grants, but also research and development, but also data analytics, but also ICT for D. There are a lot of opportunities that come that you need to know or need to be aware about, so that when you are looking for opportunities, you know how to position yourself. The word is position yourself. In my previous slide, I talked about creating your vision and looking at investing in yourself. It's because of this slide here that you need to invest in yourself, so that when those opportunities come your way, you know how to be in sync with what they want. There are a lot of grants which come in Kenyan way. There are a lot of collaborations. What do you mean by grants? Monies which are actually provided to either by foreign governments or research bodies or other collaborating partners who want to do certain projects within Kenya, and they need somebody in Kenya to be able to work with. So do you have the skills that they want? Some of them want skills in health. Some of them want skills in data analytics. Some of them want skills in agriculture. Some of them want skills in journalism. Some of them want skills in art. Some of them want skills in cybersecurity and forensic science. Some of them want skills in epidemiology. Do you have those? Secondly, Kenya is home to one of the biggest United Nations offices outside the UN, outside the New York. How are we taking advantage of that? That office is located in Gigiri. It should not just be an office. It should also, for you, should also be an opportunity to see what is available there. But you need to know how to look. So within this, you can position yourself to work in government, and governments now, because you have all the local governments, the county governments. You can also work within NGOs, private sector. You can also work for yourself, because if you have very good skill and you think it can work for you, why not? You can create your own company or outfit that allows you to apply for some of these collaborative grants. Again, I'll give you examples of what I mean towards the end, because then it will be able to more clear. There are a lot of donors and research institutions who want to work, again, in Kenya, and not only Kenya, but in the surrounding region. How do you position yourself for that? But you've already gone for an education, you've already done your professional courses, you've already invested in yourself. How do you then present yourself? There's always, whether it's a CV or a resume, it doesn't really matter. You can see the notes down there, the difference. But don't be lengthy. Don't be lengthy. Nobody has time to look through lengthy CVs. In fact, today they have invested in a lot of systems which pick keywords from your CV or from your resume, so that they can be the system can. The first form of, which is maybe shocking to you, the first form of elimination is not even done by the employer. It's done by recruiting agents who have involved, who have created automated CV analysis tools which just pick out keywords. And that's why the resume is more important than the CV, because you can tailor your resume towards what is relevant to a particular employer and make sure that the keywords that they want are appearing on your resume. And that's what the automated CV analysis tool will pick out. A CSR is also very important. Those CSR projects that you do, the social projects that you do, for example, in church, are very key. Some people love to hear about that because it already shows that you have some compassion and you know how to work with the lesser people of the society. So if they're going to work with lesser people within the society, they know how you can be an invaluable part of the work. If you've taken any worked in any project, however small it is, you must put that on your CV or on your resume, because those projects might become very relevant as you go for your interview. Many people, maybe some of you have heard, but many people maybe have not been using this, but you need also to have what is called a cover letter. Why does it matter? It shows that you understand what the employer is looking for, and you have tailored, or rather you are responding towards what they're looking for, and shows your fitness for the work based on what you've done either in your education, your professional courses, or on the, some of the projects that you've been running. I'll stop this for a moment so that I show you a sample resume. And let's see. Stop sharing so that I show you another. I'll show you a sample resume so that you can be able to Chebu, are you seeing my screen? Hello, Chebu, are you seeing my screen?
Yes, Elder, I'm able to see. Yeah.
So I'm showing us, this is only 2 pages. You can see that's why it is very important that you, so here you actually just extract what is key. So for this particular one, I'm showing you one which was used, I'm showing this one which was used for a particular purpose. So my experience as an academician was important. That's why I highlighted there, and also my professional area. And then my membership in professional associations, if you have any, which are very key, then instead of writing all the things I've done, like in academics, I just put my link, the Google Scholar link and the ResearchGate. For those of you who are in academics or who are trying to do some publishing, these are very important. There's a tool called Google Scholar and ResearchGate, you can be able to do that. But let's go down here. I summarize my various responsibilities at the University of Nairobi at a different level. For example, what have I done? What have I done? Don't write as part of some other person, write as yourself. What have you been able to do? So I indicate my academic work, but also indicate some other work that I've done, which is not academic, but which is relevant to this work. For example, I was a deputy chief of party for a project at the university. And then another one where I was a project manager for a project that I worked on, and then a project that I did somewhere else, for example, and then human-centered design. You can see it is only 2 pages because it is a resume, which means it is tailored for that particular job. If I now contrast that to a CV, which I'm going to share right now, you can see the CV by down it's 15 pages. If you look at this, it is slightly different from what I was showing because the other one was very specific. A CV is just a summary of what I've done. It's all my academic and research memberships, for example, my employment and work experience, for example, and all that. So you can see the other one was 2 pages, this is 15 pages. So here I'm more specific because this one I can be able to extract certain things from. So what you need to remember is your CV can be able to capture all that you've been doing over time, but your resume should be able to only capture what is relevant to that particular job. I'll be able to give some of these samples that you can be able to use. Now, let me share a cover letter, which I wrote for a particular activity that I was doing. A simple 1 page. I don't want to focus on this because, again, this is not very common. I hope you're seeing it. It talks about the advertisement for the research consultancy position. I say why I think I am relevant to it. Because my academic research over so many years in a particular area in ICT4D, I've mentored different PhD and master students, for example. I've been able to work in innovative solutions and so on. Again, I was only showing you this, not because I want to blow my trumpet, but only because this is key to understanding why a cover letter is important. Because then they want to see what's relevant, what is very relevant. So this part was showing them how my work in the university and different projects have shaped that. But then I also completely extracted the part which I thought was very important, which is my Firelight Foundation work in Malawi, which was involving design thinking, because this particular work was asking for somebody with design thinking skills. And that is very key because it was what the work was looking for. It's a very brief letter. Cover letter is normally not more than 1 page, and you don't go repeating what is in your resume. You just see what you pick, which is important. Is there a question so far? I think we need to move fast because of time. So if I go back to what you were discussing, which is this one. So you can see now the difference between the two, the three, the resume, the CV, and the sample. So from here, when some of you don't have this, please make sure that you go and prepare a good CV. You can prepare a good CV and then you extract resume from it from time to time. At the interview, sorry, something else we did. Etiquette and dressing. Now, remember when you're going to an interview, please make sure you present yourself well because you are presenting an image that the company wants to look for. So etiquette and dressing is very key. Be smart, be presentable. Don't panic, arrive early and make sure you're well prepared because you need to show that you are fit for the job. At the interview, again, this is something that probably not many of you are aware of. What is your competitive advantage? Focus on the project that you've done. What activities makes you in a particular job, for example, that you want to do kind of motivate you to excel. What is most interesting to you? You need to answer those questions. Practice with a friend before you go for the interview so that it shows that you are able to articulate your skills and relevant trainings towards that work. For a job, when you are offered or when you have different offers or when you're looking for a job, make sure you look for a job where there are good teamwork, team members, people you can work with, which fits the purpose, your purpose in life, the vision we talked about. Location, location, location. Don't rush just to pick a job for the sake of it. Some places are very insecure. Some places are very good, but they're very expensive. You may spend all your money. I'll give you an example. In Geneva, a house is so expensive that most of your salary might go to housing. And also, does it offer flex work? Flex work means maybe you don't have to go to the office all the time. It can offer maybe certain days you work from home, certain days you go to the office, and so on. How much? You need to be very careful about this. Don't overprice yourself out of the market. Do your research. What are some of the guiding principles towards remuneration? What I mean by that is what should be a good pay for you that can allow you to sustain yourself and not necessarily live beyond your means. Very, very key. Now, today, you may go for low pay, but if they give you certain health insurance and even a pension scheme, it's sometimes better than just asking for a pay. Because when you fall sick, some of these can take up all your savings. So a job which offers you health insurance is very important. But also you look for growth opportunities, sorry. What I mean by lateral and vertical movements is lateral means that you can move from one section of the organization to another one to learn different job or activities within that environment so that whenever an opportunity arises, don't get stuck in one place. Lateral movement may not mean a promotion, but it gives you an opportunity to move around so that you can be able to learn more, so that if there is any need to retain people during downsizing, then you stand a better chance of staying around because you have more than one experience in that environment. Vertical movements, what are some of the opportunities for growth? Important again, training. When you enter into a new environment, what are on the job trainings that can allow you to do that job better? But it can make acquire those skills in a way that can make you climb the ladder. There are a lot of online courses. Please take advantage of that and some of the promotion opportunities that come along. Allow me to move slightly faster. When you're in an organization, sometimes you get stuck and look like that is where you want to spend the rest of our lives. No, if it is not working, look out. Look out. I'm speaking from experience. If it's not working, sometimes look out. You may be a place where your path is blocked and you're just staying there, and you never know what opportunities are there out there if you continue getting stuck there and complaining. I'm not being promoted. Nobody's caring about my work. Don't get stuck if things are not working. Look out whenever there is that. Learn and move on. Even if you think there are certain failures, don't let those define you, because you need to make sure that where you're working is a good environment. You're spending a lot of your time there, and you can be able to work better. So, what about today? What's happening today? Now, at some point I talked about flexi work. Flexi work means that you probably are given a certain number of hours that you need to do. Flexi work also means that you may not have to go to the office every day. And sometimes you may find that even as you're doing that flexi work, certain opportunities come your way. Don't shy away from them. There are new opportunities which are emerging, and some of them are brought about by pandemics like even Corona. They have brought about a lot of opportunities. Right now, there's a lot of opportunities in health just because of Corona. So don't let those run away from you. You have to be on the lookout to find out where are they. There are also certain areas for those of you who are doing their own businesses. You need to think about certain contracts or consultancies that can actually be relevant to your work. However, these are a very tough area. I may not be able to cover it fully here because I've also done a lot of them under this. But I will just say one key lesson: be very careful, because people get undercut in some of these tenders and contracts. There are a lot of things which go there which go against your Christian principles. So you may actually think twice before getting involved. There's some of them which are very dirty. And of course, in Kenya and even other places, they may lead you to certain decisions, or you get involved in things which can probably make you end up in criminal activity. So be very careful. Now, a lot of untapped potential lies in our research and development. There are a lot of grants and scholarships. We're just not aware of them. Most embassies in Kenya, all the European embassies in Kenya, have got grants and opportunities that you need to take advantage of. One of the heavily funded sector in Kenya is health. Health is very heavily funded. If one time you have an opportunity to go to Ministry of Health, just count how many, if you go down there and you can count how many different work projects they have which are funded by different government. I'm going towards the end because I want to end so that you can have certain time for questions. Create your professional networks. Use social media to make sure that you have a network of people who you can rely on, people who can point you to opportunities. Your network is your network. I borrowed that from somebody and I thank them for that. Your network is your network, because you build social capital. Those are the people who can point you to opportunities. Because the referrals come from your colleagues. And tell your story. Even when you're in church, there are a lot of people who are working in different environments there. When you're in church, they may not be able to tell you. But I think a lot of interaction will be able to show you that. And as you apply for some of these things, you're going to fail. But don't give up. Fail and fail and fail until you do what? You succeed. Don't fail, fail, and fail. And then you say, no. But beware of social media. I don't need to overemphasize that. Some of the employers, when they're doing a background check, if you look at my CV, one of the people I worked for was with UNICEF. They do background check until your social media. What have you been posting? And if you look at some of when they're posting a job, they have certain values. If any of your postings, maybe an innocent posting against even something you shared, which promotes, for example, for UNICEF, which promotes something against children, you can never work for UNICEF. and you may have just innocently forwarded something. So be very careful about social media. It may actually be your undoing. And in my end of these slides, I'm going to share these slides. I'll put in some of the jobs that I was talking about, the reason why I was posting them. These are jobs which have been listed. The UNICEF is there, WHO, World Bank, United Nations. RTI is a research organization called Research Triangle International, which is involved in a lot of projects in Kenya, UNESCO, African Development Bank, East African Community, USAID, CDC, Ford Foundation. All these have worked in Nairobi and in Kenya for that matter. They're doing a lot of projects year in, year out. There are also these, which are for those who want to work, continue their education, talk about scholarships. Commonwealth scholarships are always announced. Unfortunately, the government doesn't announce them openly. Unfortunately, our Kenyan government doesn't announce. By the time they announce them, it's already too late. But go to the Commonwealth website and you're going to find a lot of, okay, that's just the link to showing 2017, 2018, sorry, but it's actually the link for Commonwealth. The NIDA, a very prestigious one called Erasmus Mundus. That one is very, very prestigious in Europe. We have two CIDAs. The one for Sweden is called CIDA with an S. The one for Canada is called CIDA with a C. Look at the opportunities. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is doing a lot of work in research in Kenya. Then you have CDC and of course Fulbright. I'll put some verses there which can be able to help you think about some of these things. But then just as a matter of ending, a little bit about myself so that you can probably understand why I was talking about that. I've been working at the University of Nairobi for a number of years, but then I also done a lot of work with USAID and CDC and all that. The work I was doing with the USAID was very instrumental in me moving from computer science into health, into digital health. And I worked and we pioneered that work, still ongoing, by the way. So we've been doing a lot of work under that support about 21 counties in Kenya. But I reached a point where number one, somebody blocked my progress. And I could have been bitter, but I decided I want to change that. And the opportunity I got, or the experience I got from that, has now helped me do other jobs that I had not thought about, because I looked out. I realized that once USAID gave me that opportunity for that experience, I decided to look out. And by looking out, I was able to get much more than what I would have been able to do or what I could not be able to do under USAID. I've also been able to do a lot of projects because of my networks. Some of them are in Sweden, some of them are in different places. Why? Because I just try to create some networks where possible. So I'm trying to encourage you that you never know where your networks are going to come from. So you need to create those networks so that you can be able to benefit from them. I want to stop. There, so that I was just looking at the issues on chat so that we can have some questions. So back to you. Chebu, I don't know whether anybody has a question we can.
Yes, Elder, I can hear you.
Yes.
So if you have any question, you can raise your, okay, let me just have anybody is able now to unmute themselves. You can unmute yourself and then you speak. And if you are not able, if you may not want to speak, you can still type over there and then be able to read out your question. I can see there's one here who has a question. I think that's I think one person is asking, is it too late to start a new degree at 28 years?
The answer is no. The answer is no. I did my master's when I was older than you. And I did, I did my PhD when I was older than you. So it's never too late. But again, be very strategic. Where do you want to go with that degree? My advice is just don't do it. Do it where it is. And look for a scholarship. Again, and a very important thing, look for scholarship. So a scholarship will allow you, so somebody pays for that, and once they pay for that, they're also most likely going to give you a job. So look for a scholarship. Now, talking of that, one of the questions that somebody asked me once was, oh, my supervisor told me once was, you've finished your PhD, put it down, now look for money. It sounded a bit crude, but then he told me, I'll explain what I mean. Some of the work you do may be abstract, but how do you change that into a career? That's what he meant, not only money physically, but how do you change that into a career? And it made me change my attitude. Because sometimes you do something which is abstract and you get stuck with it, and you think somebody will come looking for you. You have to go out and find out, how can this work for me? So he told me, let your PhD work for you. There was another one. There's another hand.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, am I there? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
I was asking, okay, there's a point which you say that working smart, and basically I didn't get the point. Maybe you could come up with that point.
Kebu, there's another hand. I don't know whether that is the same person, so that we can take some and then answer.
Okay. Yeah, I can see A.
Yes.
You can go and ask your question.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yes, my question is on network. People relate differently. There are some introverts who, yes, will go to church, but will finish the service and go to the next thing. How do you advise on the very bit of networking, mostly when you're not really good with a human interaction? How do you get to build that network?
Thank you, sir. Any other question? Somebody's asked, what are the benefits and challenges of working abroad? Okay, that's also another question. Maybe I can take this through. So working smart means that what I mean by working smart, is that you can employ the use of technology in the kind of work that you're doing. That's what I mean. There are several ways you should use as minimal effort as possible to achieve the same results. That's what I mean by working smart. Are there tools which can allow you to do your work? Are there some tools? And there are a lot of tools. The organization that I worked for briefly for 4 months is called Digital Public Goods Alliance, is promoting the use of free and open source software. There are so many, and they are being used all over the world. Find out those, because some of the problem in Africa that we have in Africa is that some of the softwares are too expensive for us. They are free and open source versions of the same softwares. Please go out and look for them. That's what I mean by working smart. The second one was on networking. You're an introvert, how can you network? Now, I think this is where some professional tools like LinkedIn comes in. I've got a lot of referrals for some jobs through LinkedIn. And that has really helped me a lot, because sometimes you may not be good at speaking, but you're good at writing something. So seek out those opportunities which are within LinkedIn. Some of the links I've shared are very key. The current job I'm working, I got from two of those links. So the links that I've shared are very key. You make sure that you spend your time looking for those. And I'll give you a simple advice. What I've done, I put those, when you do those, when you've created a good profile for a particular, let's say it is WHO, create a profile for a job in WHO, and then create a profile within WHO and log in all the time. I'll always have about 20 tabs. I had about 20 tabs of all the places that I was seeking opportunities for. Every morning, I was able to do that. So that we can go and, you can be checking and seeing which opportunities, and then they will always send something. Now, the other way of networking, of course, is to interact with, you may be an introvert, but there could be 1 or 2 people that you know that you can. And I think I don't know whether Brother agrees. We want to encourage that those of our members who are working in different sectors can be able to also we can create them instead of having our social media for the useless things that sometimes happens. I'm sorry to use that term. We can be able to put some opportunities within that church members have that are seeking for people along those lines, so that people can be able to see. I think we need to think how we can use our armor wall and the youth wall and on maybe the ladies wall as places where we can promote certain opportunities where we can see our people getting. But another third way is to ask Cleopas and the rest of us who are able to indicate to come out maybe and speak to us and tell us what are some of the places where they think we can look for those opportunities. Now, working abroad. Working abroad is, depending on the opportunity that you get, there could be advantages. Advantage is that you actually can get a more commensurate pay with what, depending on your experience, and you can get better experience and more opportunities. That's number one. You get exposed and you can get a lot of opportunities for growth, because once you work in some of those organizations, they are much bigger and they can be able to offer you more lateral and vertical growth. Secondly, if you plan well, you can be able to use that money for investments. And so that, because you're probably going to be paid in foreign currency, and if you look at the conversion rate, sometimes can be much better. Thirdly, depending on who you work for, you might be able to get a place where your work, whatever you work for, is what you take home. You are not, because you're not a citizen of that country, you're not overburdened with certain local taxes, which means you can be able to have more disposable income. But more importantly, it's an opportunity to get more places to look for growth. Angel is asking, how can we go about building the right networks and connections? I think I've already talked about that. Let's those of us who have opportunities, even within the church, share them. But also you need to come out and let people know what you're made of. Create a good resume, and as I was saying, look at the people who are in those fields who have inspired you and reach out to them. Some people you can actually be able to reach out to, and they can be able to give you those opportunities. Mary is having a question, I think. It's a hand up. And,
yeah, maybe before then, there's one who had asked, what are the benefits? No, that is already. Why is publishing considered to be so important in postgraduate studies?
Yes. For those of you who are in academics like myself, that is actually where people show that you've reached a level of maturity. When you publish your work and it is referenced, it actually can sell itself. When you publish your work, it means that, number one, you are sharing your findings with the rest of the people. But more importantly, that work bears your name, and when it bears your name and it is referenced or referred by other people, cited by different people, that becomes also a good benchmark for you to be able to get research grants. Now, research grants are very, very important, because I've been working on a project called Digital Matatu. Those of us who probably have heard about it, Digital Matatu, where we worked on putting the digital map of Matatu in Nairobi. So when you go to Google Maps and you look for directions, and it gives you the Matatu numbers, that's the work we have been doing for the last 4 or 5 years. And every year we get a grant for that. Now, the reason why we keep on getting grants is because we publish our work. The digital Matatu work that we do, we publish it each and every year. And once we publish it, we can now ask for more money. So publishing is very key. And also, if you want to progress, in some of the cases, if you want to progress even for higher studies, they'll ask you where are some of your publications. So that is very, very key. Thank you for that. There are two questions, I think, or two hands up. Victor, Mary Boyani and Victor Aziz. Mary. Cleopas, have we lost Mary?
Well,
Hello?
sorry.
Hello?
Yeah, you can unmute yourself now.
Okay, thank you so much, Cleopas, and thank you so much, Elder. I think it's really been an educative session, and I really wish we could be having more of these to learn. Yeah, it's really educative. Thank you so much. So I have two questions.
Yes.
One
yes.
will be, okay, we are termed as a generation that is more of a microwave generation.
Mhm.
But my question will be, after how long should you, like, is there like a timeline for someone to move to a next job? Let's say, for example, if I'm working in an organization,
Mhm.
probably you've seen your head of department stay there for like 10 years,
Mhm.
and I'm just an assistant, or you just started your career.
Yes.
And if you look at it, like, let's say in 5 years' time,
Mhm.
probably you will not be able to have achieved a certain goal that you had set for yourself.
Mhm.
But it's not like you're complaining about the remuneration, about the work environment. It's just that you don't see the growth.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And you don't know if you are just being maybe too fast or it's just the case.
Okay, got you. You
And
said you had two questions. Yeah.
yes, thank you. My second question is more of clarification between like what you showed as your cover letter and resume, and I kind of got confused between what goes to the cover letter and what goes to the resume, because according to probably how we've been, or rather what I know, is that your cover letter should be more or less of a summary of your CV, but showing why, like, that is tailored to that particular job that you're applying for. So, like, what is the difference between that and the resume?
Okay.
Thank you.
Victor, maybe you go to Victor, then John, and then we can answer all at once. I know we Victor, please.
Yeah, hi Elder.
Hello.
Yes, mine is just an observation.
Yes.
It's not a question, but it's just an observation.
Yes.
That has been asked, or you've also commented about it, that there are more groups, the women ministry groups, the youth groups. You know, in this church, especially in Nairobi South, we have
Yes.
senior people in